Hello, Nari McDiarmid for Mining Journal and miningnews.net, and it's great to be speaking with Mark Duclair, Managing Director of emerging gold developer Astral Resources. Now, Mark, you've recently released some spectacular gold intercepts, but before we get to those, for anyone new to Astral, how do you describe the company?
Yeah, well, Astral Resources, we are a gold focused exploration and development company, and our tenements are actually located in the heart of the West Australian goldfields. So the Mandilla tenement package is 70 kilometres south of Kalgoorlie, and our Feysville tenement package is literally only 14 k's. So you can almost still see the town side of Kalgoorlie just from the boundary of our tenure. We've been focused on growing both of those projects towards the critical mass where we start to believe we can support a study that will show that this can be a profitable gold operation. And that's certainly where we find ourselves today.
Well, you've just raised more than $20 million, which essentially sees you funded right through to a final investment decision. So, what do you put this support down to?
Well, look, it's been a really hard funding environment for the last 3 and a bit years. And yeah, the gold junior space was almost on the nose. I've literally attended conferences where people are asking us, have we got any lithium on our ground? So it's been a really nice change of sentiment towards gold. But what we focused on over that 3 year period where it was really difficult is we just kept working on our projects with the funding that we were able to attract in what was a pretty tough funding market. And so now, as that sentiment turns towards gold, I'd like to think that if you're screening that junior developer space, we screen really, really well, which is why we were able to have such a strongly supported capital raising and get some really big North American institutions onto the register, which does set us up towards moving towards that final investment decision and then being able to raise the equity that we need to build our project, which all going well will be in 2026.
Well, if we look at the specifics of the feasibility study as it stands at the moment, the scoping study level was completed before the gold price hit its record levels this month. So, how's it looking now?
Well, we're working towards the pre-feasibility now, but I mean, if we just put the revenue base in at current spot, I mean, the project's generating $1.8 billion worth of free cash flow. It has a net present value at an 8% discount rate of 1.2 billion and an internal rate of return of over 160%. So the financials for this project look absolutely amazing. And we did our design. So when you're actually doing a detailed design or do a pit optimization and detailed design around that, that's actually based on a gold price of 2,100 Australian today, over 4,100. So we're certainly well placed as we move towards the pre-feasibility. And we had 140,000 ounces of gold production for the scoping study. We'd like to see ourselves push towards over 1 million ounces worth of gold production by the time the pre-feasibility comes out. And we're focusing on delivering something in the June quarter of 2025.
So, this has started with a focus on your Mandilla project, but if we turn to Feysville, and that's where these recent intersections, which were some pretty spectacular results, 3 meters at 177 grams per tonne, for example, how does this tie into your development plans?
Well, the way we've actually looked at Feysville is we believe Feysville has the capacity to deliver us, I use the term, several 100,000 ounce deposits. And the haulage distance between Feysville and Mandilla is only 65 kilometres by road. So it's infinitely truckable as a concept. And Mandilla is a 1.1 gram per tonne ore body. Anything that we can find at Feysville, which is 1.3 grams per tonne and above, can actually start to displace some of that Mandilla lower grade material. So a few of my presentations, what I've spoken about is that in the first 5 years in the scoping study, we actually are still treating about 5 million tonnes of material that's sitting at about 0.6 grams per tonne, even though we're averaging 1.3 grams for the first 7 years of the project. Now, if I can displace that 5 million tonnes at 0.6 using this material from Feysville, then I start to generate significantly more value. And I think with the mineral resource estimates that are going to come out in the next 2 weeks for Feysville, I think you'll certainly see that there's some real truth to that statement that we've been making.
Now, taking a step back from the projects themselves, Mark, and for those in the know, there's some high profile names on the Astral board. What would you like people to know about the team?
Well, look, we've made a couple of changes to the board. I mean, as a management team, we came onto the Astral Resources company in January of 2020, and that's following us having a successful outcome with a company we IPO'd called Egan Street Resources, where we got taken over by Silver Lake. When that team came in January 2020, we've then slowly made some changes to the board as well as the company has started to grow. So Mark Connolly has joined as our non-executive chair. He understands what's needed to build projects. He understands what's needed to achieve successful outcomes for shareholders. Justin Osborne, I knew him when he was a geology manager at St Ives, and I was there as the plant metallurgist and heap leach superintendent. So I've known Justin for quite some time. Uh, he has a fantastic track record of actually being able to develop projects, and he sat on the Gold Road side of a very significant transaction with Goldfields when they developed the Gruyere Gold Project. And then even with David Varco, is current principal engineer with AMC. So he actually does feasibility studies for a living. So you put those three technical people onto our board, and you've got a board that can really help this management team take us all the way through to a development scenario.
Well, as you say, there's a busy pathway ahead, Mark, but for anyone considering investing, what's your message to a potential shareholder?
Look, as a technical team, we pride ourselves on doing excellent work, and you can only achieve a successful outcome if you can find a lender that is prepared to lend you the money to build your project. And you're only going to get that outcome if you do some fantastic technical work. And if you look back on the history of this team, we did that technical work with Egan Street Resources. Silver Lake effectively looked under the bonnet and were prepared to pay 70% of the future value of that project in a transaction. People don't do that unless the work is done to a high degree. And it's the same team that is now doing excellent technical work as we look to deliver Mandilla and then bring Feville in and we'll show how we're going to become the next 100,000 ounce per annum producer in this Kalgoorlie Goldfields region.
Well, Mark, thanks very much for taking the time to speak today.
Cheers. Thank you very much.